the weekend, a bombshell report dropped about Tom Homan, Trump's border czar, who allegedly accepted $50,000 in cash right before the 2024 election. It was all a part of an undercover operation by the FBI that recorded him saying that he could help business executives with lucrative contracts with the second Trump administration. Here's the kicker, though. As soon as Trump became president, Trump appointees like Kash Patel shut down the investigation. Compare this to what Democrats spent their weekend doing. First, DNC Chair Ken Martin was in Georgia helping Deborah Shigley in her race for a state Senate seat. Then he joined a canvass launch on Sunday in Northern Virginia to help Abigail Spanberger and other Democratic candidates for the state legislature. And up in New Jersey, Democratic gubernatorial candidate Mikey Sherrill debated her MAGA opponent and blew him out of the water.
I'm the only one that has a plan to actually take on the tough problems of New Jersey. In fact, Jack's been in office before, and a lot of the things he complains about, he was the architect of. But that's why I've committed to declaring a state of emergency on energy costs on day one, to drive down your costs, to freeze rate hikes. I'm going to have a dashboard so you can see where your permitting is as we cut through red tape and regulatory issues so we can drive down costs. I'll make sure that we have a report card online so you can see exactly where your money goes and hold me accountable when the state's not performing well. So that's the kind of transparency, accountability, and cost savings I'm going to bring to government.
The contrast couldn't be clearer. While Republicans are in the news for taking cash bribes, Democrats are putting in the work to win elections, make life better, and turn the tide on Trump's culture of corruption. I'm Hannah Moldavan, Deputy Communications Director for the Democrats, and your host for today. It's Monday, September 22nd, and this is the Democrats' Daily Blueprint. Last week, we told you about the healthcare crisis that Republicans are forcing our country into. To recap, instead of negotiating with Democrats on a bipartisan funding bill to protect the healthcare of millions of Americans, Republicans once again did the bidding of Donald Trump. One day, Trump is hyperfixated on White House renovations.
How are you holding up over the last 3.5 years? I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty. It'll be an absolutely magnificent structure.
The next day, he's tweeting instructions to the Attorney General about how she needs to go after his enemies. Democrats, meanwhile, remain focused. On Friday, the top Democrats in the Senate and the House, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, wrote to the president to demand a meeting to avert a government shutdown on September 30th. In the letter, they mentioned how Republicans have refused to extend Affordable Care Act tax credits. And as a result, healthcare costs for 22 million Americans are about to skyrocket by an average of 75% next year. Now, these are tax credits that Democrats first expanded in 2021 to make sure more people could afford healthcare. You'd think that Republicans would take the out. After all, we're asking them to save healthcare of millions of Americans who are being priced out of care, including many of their own constituents. But no. Instead of negotiating with Democrats to protect healthcare, on Friday, Senate Republicans voted down proposals that would keep premiums affordable. And because of their budget bill, the bottom 10% of American households are going to have $1,200 less each year. The richest Americans, they're getting showered in new tax breaks that are going to lower their tax burden by more than $13,000. But that's not all. Republicans also cut funding for Medicaid, pushing rural hospitals and nursing homes to the brink of closure. And even as they call themselves the so-called party of fiscal responsibility, Republicans exploded the deficit by $3.4 trillion, leading to higher inflation, higher energy bills, and higher grocery costs and prescription drug prices. That's the healthcare crisis in a nutshell. Completely self-inflicted, completely cruel. Every step of the way, Republicans have tried to roll back the progress that Democrats have delivered, like when we helped 44 million Americans get coverage through the Affordable Care Act. And Republicans are once again trying to block progress with this government shutdown. But we're going to keep going because we know what's at stake. It's not just Democrats on Capitol Hill, though. Up and down the ballot, Democrats are running on affordability. And here at the Daily Blueprint, we are highlighting Democratic candidates who are fighting for working families and who need your support to win. For today's segment of 60 Candidates in 60 Days Spotlight, we want to tell you about Teresa Gillespie Isom, the Democratic candidate running in the special election for Mississippi State Senate District 2 on November 4th. Teresa Gillespie Isom has spent her career as a nurse, educator, and community advocate with decades of leadership in healthcare and education. As a state senator, she's committed to fighting for quality education, better jobs, safe communities, and a stronger voice for Mississippi families. To sign up to make calls, knock doors, and volunteer with her campaign, go to teresagillespieIsom.com. You can also find the link in our video description below. Thanks for joining us today for this episode of the Daily Blueprint. We'll be right here with you every weekday at 10 a.m. Eastern on the DNC's YouTube page. Until tomorrow.